Hey everybody! Rose inspired me with her video yesterday or this week, so I thought I'd do a little garden walkthrough. Starting up here on the porch. It's hard to see because now all of a sudden the sun is out real bright. But these are my kind of fern and some of my coleus, and then we've got the lemon coral sedum that I really enjoy going on over here. And then on the other side of the porch, I have my banana tree. This is a dwarf. It is supposed to fruit, but it never has fruited for me, but it's doing really well. And as you can see over here is that it's got two babies that I think I'm going to try to harvest and put in their own little pots here soon, because this plant just does really well when it's outside and gets the sun, and I think the babies will be more likely to root in if I do it here in the summer while it's growing a lot. All right, so I'm gonna walk down here and turn around. All right, so we've got sort of the lavender bush right here. So that's actually getting really big. I might start trimming it back a little bit. And the butterfly bush, which is in full bloom. And then down below, we've got phlox. Yeah, let's see, phlox right here. And then the echinacea right there. Those are both new. I think the echinacea looks really nice. I don't like the phlox as much because it just tends to look a little beat up. I don't know. We'll give it a couple years and see if it does better. Who knows? And then over here is a dogwood plant that I just transplanted, which I don't know if it's doing good or it's not. It's kind of got a little bit of redness on its leaves, so it never was thriving before, so just seeing if it likes that spot better. And then below we have all the lavender, which I cut back just maybe 2 weeks ago or a week ago. I don't know if it'll flush back or not, but I just gave it a try this year. And then we've got the pots, which the two in the back are doing good. They have dahlias and angelonia, and then the one in the front is not really all that happy. So I don't know, maybe I just need to give it more water. That's my only thought. Everything needs to be fertilized this month. I'm sorry, not this month, this weekend. So we will give that a try. Over here, we've got the Rudbeckia in big bloom. And then I added with Mom some new Rudbeckia, and it turns out those new ones are kind of a little taller. So I don't know if I can point. I'm not very good at this pointing thing, but that one, and that one, and that one are all a little bit taller, but those new ones haven't started to bloom yet. So, but that's okay. Over time, if they're a slightly different variety, they maybe will seed and we'll get some different ones. And then below the peach tree right there is, I think is it Lamium? No, that might not be the right name, but that's a new perennial that's a nice ground cover that I added. And then backing up, we've got the peach tree, which really is very much leaning to the side. I don't know how well it's doing. I feel like it might have some canker. It did only set a few peaches. I'm gonna find one here that you can see. Now these peaches won't be ripe until sometime in October, so we've got quite a long time for those to actually ripen up. I just realized I should be doing this in landscape, so I'm gonna switch to landscape. All right. So I had all these big salvias that I cut back, and you know, everybody always says they rebloom, but like I get like a few stalks to rebloom, and that is it. I had the daylilies were doing great, but they just are taking a lull at this moment in time and have bloomed out. I'm gonna zoom in on the really gross Japanese beetles because I was like, these look epic right now at the moment. So we'll just stop there at the moment. I would actually say the Japanese beetles aren't as bad as they have been in the past, but they are really attracted to the roses. I have tried spraying some of this beetle gone targeted, but it doesn't it doesn't seem like it's actually helping. I saw a lady who had her roses covered with mesh, like almost that same kind of thing that Rose had covering her fruit, her melons. It was like a thin mesh, and I was like, oh gosh, I wonder if I could try that next year. It's just covering the roses with a mesh for a couple of months, or if that would just be super ugly. The Coreopsis is really, really big and beautiful. We tried to split some this year, so there's some smaller ones right behind it that hopefully will fill in a little bit more. And then over here we've got the sedum, and it is starting to pink up. So it actually is a little bit happier over here. I moved it from the other side to this side, and it seems to be putting on more growth than it has in the past. Behind it is a Gaura plant, which is very, it's just like blah. It's not putting up any of the pretty pink bloom stalks, but we did have this big hail that hit, and so I'm not sure if that's the reason or if there's another problem with it. I am gonna fertilize, so we'll see. And then right behind the Gaura is my fig tree, which is really doing well, but when I put it out, it burned initially, so it didn't put any fruit on this year. So but it's kind of, I've had to cut back some of the hydrangeas a little bit just to give it a little bit more space. So but it seems to be doing well in this spot. And then we've got the hydrangeas, which are really starting to be mostly bloomed out. This is an Annabelle hydrangea, and as they age, the blooms turn green. So they start white and then they turn green. And then they sort of dry as well. So, but they still will look nice. And then over here, I'll stop at my maple tree, which is, it seems like it's really trying to put on a new canopy. I lost it this last fall in an early snowstorm. Because it's trying so hard, I have really just tried to let it try to thrive. But when we get these really strong windstorms, a lot of these new branches just keep blowing off. So I'm not sure that it's gonna make it, but I'll probably give it a couple years and see what happens. Then down here we've got the hydrangeas that I just planted, and they are really looking sad right now. They got beat up with the hail and being smaller, and they seem to have something that, it looks like they're being eaten, but I think that was just the hail. So again, there is a couple of new leaves over here on this one. I don't know if you can see it, but so I'm just gonna try to give them some fertilizer and just, they're not wilting, so And then I've got the, I don't even know if I can get them all in, but my huge buckthorns, which these I cut down to like this height when we had that bad snow, because the top branches were all bent over, and it's like gotten even taller this year than I think it was last year. It's kind of crazy. They're wild. They can be really invasive in a lot of areas. They really aren't here in Colorado, but they're kind of somewhat junky trees, or shrubs. Anyway, all right. Coming around here, we have the daylilies that are my fancy daylilies. These are still in bloom, but as you can see, we could use some deadheading. That's the only thing about this variety, is that they kind of look bad after the, oops, well, I'll take this one inside. They look bad after they bloom out. And then when you pick them, you get covered in blood looking sap. But that's okay. So here we go. So I've got some grasses still here. I am finding that the grasses are starting to peter out. So it's been like 7 years since they were planted. This one is still doing okay, but a lot of the grass is starting to just, it like dies from the center. Here's another set of my daylilies, and so we are still enjoying those. And then down the sidewalk, you can see the catmint. And, you know, I don't really trim this back through the year. It just, it does peter a little bit, but then it sort of pushes new growth. And it's, yeah, it is a really good ground cover. It keeps out most of the weeds in this area, and it's pretty, and it attracts the bees. I wish I had some before pictures of how bad it used to be. And then here we have another set of these fancy daylilies that also need to be just cleaned up a little bit. But they're probably getting close to being bloomed out, but we'll see. Another random hill of catmint. And then this bed is just got this new viburnum. It's a kind of a smaller viburnum there, but it looks okay, but it hasn't put on too much growth. This is its first year in the ground. And over here we have another kind of catmint, and this kind doesn't really spread like the other one does, but I pretty much treat it the same. Just let it grow all season long. The bees are on it constantly. It is trash day. And then over here is just one of my other roses. As you can see, there's really no Japanese beetle on this rose. I don't know if it's because it's just all by itself, but it only has one little tiny bloom on it. So there's our lone bloom. So it is definitely going through a lull. I might come out here and cut back, deadhead some of these rose hips that are forming up on it. See if that encourages it to have another bloom. It certainly usually does, but okay. Walking into the backyard. I'm going to see the dogs probably here in a second. Oh, yep, there's Wrigley. Okay, standing back, here's kind of the veggie and flower gardens. If we come back here, I've got some new kinds of zinnias growing, and these were a new variety for me. And so I grew those kind of separately so I can hopefully capture the seed heads. I might even try that baggy trick, like putting a mesh bag over them so they don't get cross pollinated. I don't know. That seems fussy. Over here is my personal zinnia patch. It is starting to come into bloom. Unfortunately, a lot of the grasshoppers are sort of like eating the zinnia stalks, and they're like drooping over. There's one in the back that's doing this. I don't know if I can zoom in and if you'll see it, but right there in the middle of the screen, you can see the head falling, and it's because the grasshoppers are eating right below the head, and it's like beheading my zinnias. Yeah. Anyway, I've got both white and pink. The original zinnias came from a Baker Creek pink, white, like seed packet, and then like that first year, one pink zinnia bloomed, and so I saved that, and I've also saved the other zinnia seeds. So and then every year I just throw all the seeds out there. So down here in the front, I've got my peppers, and the peppers got real damaged by the hail. So, you know, we'll see. There's a few peppers that we lost. There's a few that are still on there, but I don't know. And then I really have just started to get some peppers on the Natapinos, which is there's a second 2 rows of peppers here. And I think as long as we don't get any more hail, we'll probably do okay. There's like a bumblebee on the zinnia, so we're gonna zoom in on that, and then we'll zoom back out. So then we've got the tomatoes, and you know, they got damaged as well by the hail. Not terribly productive yet, but it is still early. I definitely have cherry tomatoes over here on this tomato. This is a bigger tomato plant that has some tomatoes that should ripen. And then this is another this third one is another kind of mini tomato that hasn't gotten any real ripeness yet. They're like dark blue tomatoes. Over here is my squash, and really it just seems like so far only patty pan squash. They've been tasty. They're a little crowded. And so what I need to do is go and actually pull out some of these plants, because there's more than one plant in here. I've also had squash bugs, but it hasn't really seemed to infect the plants too much. So I don't know if there's some natural predators or what. And then over here we have my cucumbers. I've gotten 2 cucumbers so far, so pretty slow production. We'll see what August brings us. Hopefully we get a few more than that, but you know, cucumbers aren't my top producer. Hey guys, no need to bark. Over here is my Minnesota midget melon, and you know, there's putting on a few here, but you can see there was hail damage as well to this plant as well. You know, there's like another one in there that doesn't look very good because it's just got, you probably can't see it, but it's got a lot of damage. I have some beets and some carrots in this bed as well. All kind of looking a little worse for wear after the struggle with the hail. And then over here is my zinnias, and I grew these zinnias from seed this year, which is always super fun because you just don't know what you're gonna get. And I picked the nice looking ones, so there's not too many. Like this one is kind of weird because it's like not opening all the way, but that's a beautiful one. Then I got strawberries, which I just really am not doing very good with strawberries because they just get they're like little and shriveled up, and then they get eaten by the grasshoppers. And I tried to put this cage over them, but that didn't really work at all. It just kept blowing around in the wind. And then here's the big patch of basil, and in the middle is some rainbow chard, which got beat up by the hail, but it's doing okay. And then back over here, you can see that there is parsley and dill and thyme and oregano. And then again, you can kind of see that there's some damage on the, this is a garlic thyme, or no, I'm sorry, garlic chive. But it's about to bloom, so it's not too unhappy. And then back in the corner, we just have some sage and some other onion chives. So yeah, I mean, it's not a bumper year, but things are going okay. And yeah, we're trying to enjoy the summer. So you can see the doggies out there loving the yard and protecting it. I think there's just a couple more pots I can show you over here. So I've got another lemon coral sedum in a pot right here, and then a coleus, and then up on the porch I have some begonias, which got beat up by the hail, so they're kind of not blooming at the moment, but they're coming back okay. And then finally right here I've got this trio of pots, which is actually kind of looking sweet, and I am enjoying those this year. So hopefully you enjoyed my little tour, and we will talk again soon. Bye.